Captain Emily Winters stood at the helm of the TSS Nighthawk, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that filled the bridge's main viewport. The patrol route through Proxima Centauri had been quiet for months, but something about today felt different. The quantum sensors were picking up unusual fluctuations in the space-time fabric, patterns she hadn't seen in her 15 years of deep space service. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, analysis," she called out, her voice carrying across the bridge's pristine interior. The young sensor officer's fingers danced across his neural-linked interface, streams of data flowing through the ship's quantum processors. "Multiple quantum signatures, Captain. They're unlike anything in our database, but they're definitely artificial. Whatever's coming through, it's big." Rodriguez paused, his eyes widening. "Ma'am, I'm detecting at least 12 vessels materializing." Emily's hand instinctively moved to the neural command interface at the base of her skull. The Nighthawk's combat systems remained dormant, but ready. Humanity had learned the hard way that peace was best maintained through strength. The space before them shimmered like heat waves over desert sand. Massive shapes emerged from what appeared to be tiers in reality itself, sleek, crystalline vessels that seemed to capture and reflect the light of Proxima Centauri. Their design was both beautiful and alien, clearly built by a civilization that had mastered technologies humanity had only recently begun to understand. "First Contact Protocol Omega," Emily announced, triggering a cascade of predetermined responses throughout the ship. The Nighthawk's quantum core pulsed, maintaining their advanced stealth systems. To the alien vessels, they were nothing more than background radiation. Commander Sarah Peters, her XO, stepped forward. "The vessels match no known configurations, Captain. Their energy signatures suggest they're running on some form of crystalline matrix technology. Impressive, but nothing compared to our quantum cores." Emily nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Humanity had come so far in the centuries since they'd chosen isolation. While other species focused on expansion and exploration, Earth's children had turned their gaze inward, perfecting technologies that would make them not just survivors, but protectors of what was to come. "They're broadcasting," Rodriguez reported. "It's a first contact package, running through standard electromagnetic frequencies. They haven't detected our quantum communication networks." The alien message filled their screens, a sophisticated but surprisingly primitive attempt at communication. Mathematical sequences, basic atomic structures, and what appeared to be star charts filled with systems Emily knew humanity had already colonized in secret. "They call themselves the Axtellary," Peters translated, the ship's AI helping process the alien linguistics. They're introducing themselves as representatives of the Galactic Council. They believe they're making first contact with an uninhabited system. The bridge crew maintained their professional composure, but Emily could sense their amusement. The Axtellary sensors were scanning the system, looking for signs of primitive radio signals or early spaceflight technology. They were completely blind to the network of cloaked defense platforms, automated manufacturing facilities, and quantum communication relays that humanity had spent centuries building. "Captain," Rodriguez called out, urgency in his voice. "They're launching smaller craft. Looks like exploration vessels, probably planning to establish a first contact base on one of the outer planets." Emily straightened in her command chair. This was the moment she'd trained for. Somewhere out there, the TSS Prometheus was receiving their data stream, its massive form hidden behind layers of technology that made the Nighthawk's stealth systems look primitive in comparison. The decision to reveal humanity's true nature to the galaxy would not be hers to make. "Maintain observation protocols," she ordered. "Record everything." The Prometheus will make the final call on first contact procedures. She watched as the alien ships moved through what they thought was unclaimed space, completely unaware that they were being studied by a civilization that had advanced far beyond their understanding. The real shock, Emily knew, was yet to come. Humanity's long isolation was about to end, and the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Jack Reynolds stood motionless on the Prometheus's command deck, watching the holographic display of the Axtleri fleet with calculated interest. The alien vessels, despite their impressive crystalline architecture, seemed almost delicate compared to the battle-hardened hull of humanity's flagship. "Status of the stealth field?" he asked, his voice carrying across the vast bridge chamber. The command center of the Prometheus was larger than most ships' main hangars, a testament to humanity's mastery of space engineering. Lieutenant Emma Davidson responded from her neural-linked station, "Quantum shroud holding at full capacity, sir. The Axtleri sensors are still registering nothing but background radiation. They have no idea we're here." Jack allowed himself a small smile. The Prometheus had been humanity's best-kept secret for decades, a warship so massive it could house 3 carrier groups within its cavernous holds. Its hull, scared from battles against horrors the Axtleri couldn't imagine, told stories of humanity's hidden wars. "The Axtleri are beginning their standard first contact procedures," reported Chief Strategic Officer Marcus Collins, his hands dancing over holographic controls. "They're deploying communication buoys and preparing to establish a temporary base on the system's 4th planet. Their confidence is remarkable." Jack watched as the alien ships moved with practiced precision, following protocols they'd probably used dozens of times before. They believed they were making first contact with a primitive species, perhaps detecting the faint radio signals humanity still maintained as a cover. "Message from Fleet Command," Emma announced. "We have authorization to proceed with Revelation Protocol. Admiral Harrison sends his regards and reminds us to, quote, try not to break their minds too badly." A quiet chuckle rippled through the bridge crew. The Prometheus reveal had been carefully planned, calculated to demonstrate humanity's power while avoiding unnecessary panic. Still, there was no gentle way to shatter a civilization's perception of their place in the galaxy. "Begin phase 1 of the reveal," Jack ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." The Prometheus's quantum core pulsed, its energy signature rising from absolute stealth to a carefully controlled emission. To the Axtleri sensors, it would appear as if reality itself was tearing open, revealing something that by their understanding of physics shouldn't exist. "They've detected us," Marcus reported, monitoring the alien fleet's reaction. "Their sensor arrays are going into overdrive, reading multiple emergency power signatures from their vessels. They're trying to get better scans of us, sir. Their attempts to penetrate our outer hull defenses are failing." The Prometheus slowly emerged from its quantum shroud, its true form becoming visible to the alien fleet. The warship's hull stretched for kilometers, its surface a masterpiece of advanced engineering. Point defense arrays, gravity lance emplacements, and quantum torpedo tubes lined its flanks, while massive hangar bays housed squadrons of fighters that could outmaneuver anything in known space. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Emma reported, her voice tinged with amusement. "Their language pattern suggests, well, sir, I believe the closest translation would be Holy Mother of the Stars." Jack straightened his uniform. "Open a channel. Let's show them that humanity has moved far beyond simple radio waves." The Prometheus's communication systems established a quantum link that bypassed the Axtleri's receivers entirely, projecting directly into their ship's command centers. Jack's holographic form appeared simultaneously aboard each alien vessel, a demonstration of technology that would have been impossible by their standards. "Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Council," he spoke, his words automatically translated. "I am Commander Jack Reynolds of the Terran spaceship Prometheus. On behalf of humanity, I regret to inform you that this system is not, in fact, unclaimed territory." He paused, allowing the aliens to process the impossible sight before them. "We have watched the galaxy for centuries, preparing for threats you haven't yet discovered. Today that isolation ends. We invite your diplomatic representatives aboard to discuss the true state of the galaxy. I suspect you'll find we have much to teach each other." The silence that followed was broken only by Marcus's quiet report. "Sir, multiple ships in their fleet are powering down. I believe we may have overwhelmed their sensor systems." Jack nodded. The real revelations were yet to come. "Prepare the diplomatic reception bay," he ordered. It's time humanity took its place on the galactic stage. Lieutenant Amanda Hayes adjusted her dress uniform's collar as she stood in the Prometheus's diplomatic reception chamber. The vast room, with its quantum crystal walls and gravity-defying architecture, had been designed specifically to impress foreign dignitaries. Today, it would serve its purpose well. "The Axillary delegation is approaching the docking bay," reported Diplomatic Officer Kevin Mitchell through her neural link. "Their biosigns indicate extreme anxiety. Can't blame them. Their ships look like toys next to the Prometheus." Amanda smiled. "Let them be nervous. Sometimes a little fear leads to better understanding." She watched through the ship's sensors as the alien shuttle navigated toward the designated landing area, its pilots clearly struggling to process the scale of humanity's flagship. The reception chamber's doors parted silently, revealing the Axillary delegation. Ambassador Zextol led the group, their crystalline skin refracting light in complex patterns that Amanda's neural processors identified as indicators of stress and awe. Behind the ambassador, a team of their most accomplished scientists clutched portable scanning devices that were probably going haywire from exposure to the Prometheus's quantum field. "Welcome aboard the TSS Prometheus," Amanda greeted them, her words automatically translated by the ship's eye. "I am Lieutenant Amanda Hayes, Chief Diplomatic Officer of humanity's flagship." Zextol stepped forward, their posture rigid with forced dignity. We must admit to some confusion, Lieutenant. Our records indicated this system was devoid of advanced civilization. Yet we find ourselves aboard a vessel that defies our understanding of physics." Amanda gestured to the floating holographic displays that surrounded them. "Perhaps this will help explain." The air filled with three-dimensional star charts, showing hundreds of human colonies, defense platforms, and shipyards, all previously hidden from alien detection. "Impossible," whispered one of the alien scientists, their crystalline features fracturing with shock. "These systems, we've surveyed many of them ourselves. There was nothing there." "Quantum stealth technology," Amanda explained, allowing a touch of pride in her voice. "Humanity mastered it centuries ago, along with dark energy manipulation, neural interface systems, and artificial gravity control. While the galaxy expanded outward, we expanded inward, perfecting technologies that most species haven't even theorized yet." The holographic display shifted, showing the evolution of human technology over the past 3 centuries. The Axillary watched in stunned silence as humanity progressed from primitive chemical rockets to quantum drives in a fraction of the time their predictive models had suggested possible. "But why?" Zextol asked, their voice barely a whisper. "Why hide all this? The Galactic Council could have helped you, guided you." Amanda raised her hand, interrupting politely but firmly. "With all due respect, Ambassador, we've monitored the Council's guidance of other species. Your help, while well-intentioned, often stifles innovation. Humanity chose a different path." She waved her hand, and the hologram shifted again, this time showing the true extent of human achievement. Dyson swarms harnessing the power of stars, quantum computers that could simulate entire universes, and ships that could bend reality itself. "What you see aboard the Prometheus is just the beginning," Amanda continued. "We've established self-sustaining colonies in 57 star systems, all hidden behind quantum veils. Our manufacturing capabilities exceed the entire Galactic Council's combined output, and our defense forces." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "Well, let's just say we've been preparing for threats that your sensors haven't detected yet." The alien scientists had stopped even pretending to use their scanning devices, their attention completely captured by the display of human technological prowess. Zextol seemed to be struggling to maintain their diplomatic composure. "The Council will need to be informed of this immediately," the ambassador stated, their voice trembling slightly. "This changes everything about our understanding of galactic politics." Amanda nodded, her expression growing serious. "Yes, Ambassador, it does. But before we discuss politics, there's something far more urgent you need to know. She gestured to a new holographic display, this one showing something that made the Axtellary physically recoil. This is why we've chosen to reveal ourselves now. The galaxy faces a threat that requires humanity's intervention, whether the Council is ready for us or not. Major David Thompson's neural implants hummed as he interfaced with the Prometheus's quantum core, preparing the classified briefing that would shatter the Galactic Council's worldview. The diplomatic chamber had been cleared of all non-essential personnel, leaving only the highest-ranking Axtellary officials and human representatives. "What I'm about to show you," he began, his voice grave, "has been classified at the highest levels of human government for the past 30 years. The room's quantum crystal walls darkened, transforming the space into a three-dimensional tactical display of the Milky Way. Ambassador Zextal and their scientific advisors watched as a dark mass appeared at the galaxy's core, spreading like ink through water. The visualization showed thousands of worlds going dark, their biosignatures vanishing in seconds. "We call them the Void Swarm," David continued, zooming in on one of the affected systems. The holographic display revealed creatures that defied conventional physics, massive entities that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, trailing tentacles of dark energy that consumed everything they touched. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Yexmore, the Axtellary's chief scientist. "Our deep space monitoring networks would have detected." "Your networks are primitive compared to what humanity has deployed," David interrupted, not unkindly. "We established quantum observation posts throughout the galaxy centuries ago. The Void Swarm has already consumed 17 civilizations that your council never even knew existed." The display shifted, showing footage from humanity's first encounter with the swarm. The Axtellary watched in horror as a human battle group engaged a Void Swarm scout force. Advanced warships unleashed weapons that bent space-time itself, while neural-linked pilots performed maneuvers that should have killed any living being. "This footage is from 12 years ago," David explained. "We lost 3 ships in that battle, but we learned. We adapted. Every engagement since has improved our understanding of their capabilities and weaknesses." He gestured, and the display changed again, showing the massive infrastructure humanity had built in secret. Defensive platforms capable of channeling the power of stars, automated shipyards producing vessels more advanced than anything in the Council's fleets, and research stations developing weapons specifically designed to combat extra-dimensional threats. "The Prometheus isn't just a warship," David continued. "It's a mobile command center for humanity's defense force. Those scars on our hull, they're from battles fought protecting your worlds without your knowledge. The swarm has tested our defenses 7 times in the past decade. They failed to breach our lines every time." Ambassador Zextal's crystalline features had lost their luster, a sign of extreme distress in their species. "Why? Why didn't you warn us? The Council could have prepared." "Could you have?" David asked softly. "Your most advanced weapons can barely affect normal space-time. The Void Swarm exists partially outside our dimension. Fighting them required technologies that your civilization won't develop for another 1,000 years." He brought up another display, showing the swarm's predicted movement patterns. "They're coming. Not just scout forces this time. The main swarm. Our projections show they'll reach Council space within 2 years. That's why we're revealing ourselves now." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't hidden itself out of fear or isolationism. They'd been preparing for a war that the rest of the galaxy couldn't even comprehend. "We're offering an alliance," David said, his voice firm. "Not as supplicants seeking the Council's wisdom, but as guardians offering protection. We'll share some of our technology, what your civilizations can safely handle, and help fortify your worlds. In return, we need your cooperation and resources." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. "The Void Swarm is unlike anything your species has faced. They don't negotiate. They don't take prisoners. They consume entire civilizations, breaking down all matter and energy to fuel their expansion. Humanity has spent centuries preparing for this fight, but even we can't face them alone. The holographic display shifted one final time, showing the full extent of humanity's military might. Fleets of advanced warships, planet-sized defense platforms, and weapons that could reshape reality itself. The choice is yours, Ambassador, David concluded. But know this, with or without the Council's help, humanity will stand against the swarm. We've prepared too long and sacrificed too much to do otherwise. Chief Engineer Michael Crawford watched with barely concealed amusement as the Axtellary scientific team stumbled through the Prometheus's engineering deck. Their crystalline features reflected the pulsing light of the quantum core, creating prismatic patterns across the polished walls. "Please keep your distance from the containment field," he warned as Dr. Yexmore drifted too close to the swirling vortex of dark energy. "Even our shielding technology has limits." The alien scientists jerked back, their scanning device whirring frantically. This shouldn't be possible," they muttered. "You're containing a microsingularity within a quantum bottle. The energy requirements alone would drain a star." Michael smiled. "Actually, we're running at 15% capacity. The Prometheus can generate enough power to jumpstart a dying sun if needed." He gestured to the holographic displays surrounding them, showing real-time data from the ship's systems. "The quantum core is just our primary power source. We have 3 backup systems that your scanners probably can't even detect." Ambassador Zextal, who had insisted on joining the technical tour, moved closer to examine the neural interface station. Their eyes widened at the complexity of the system. "Your engineers interface directly with the ship's systems." "Every crew member does," Michael explained, tapping the small port at the base of his skull. "Neural links are standard issue in the Terran fleet. They allow us to process information and react at speeds that would be impossible with traditional controls." He led the group deeper into the engineering section, past rows of quantum computers that made the Council's most advanced AI systems look like children's toys. The Axtellary team's expressions grew more shocked with each revelation. "This handheld device," one of their engineers noted, pointing to the tool Michael casually carried, "it has more computing power than our largest research facilities." "Standard maintenance scanner," Michael shrugged. "We give similar ones to our academy students. Speaking of which," he paused at a massive viewport overlooking one of the Prometheus's manufacturing bays. "This might interest you." Below them, automated systems were constructing what appeared to be a small scout ship. Robotic arms wielded molecular assemblers, building the vessel atom by atom, while quantum fields stabilized its structure. "You can construct ships inside your ships." Ambassador Zextal's voice carried a hint of despair. "The Prometheus is technically classified as a mobile fortress," Michael explained. "We have 6 manufacturing bays like this one, capable of producing anything from fighter craft to medical supplies." Self-sufficiency was a key factor in our design philosophy. He led them to the next section, where the ship's defensive systems were on display. Fields of exotic particles swirled around quantum-enhanced shield generators, while dark energy capacitors hummed with barely contained power. "Your entire understanding of physics," Dr. Yexmore said quietly. "It's so far beyond what we thought possible. How did humanity advance so quickly?" Michael's expression grew serious. "Necessity. When we first detected the void swarm, we realized our conventional technology would be useless against them. So we took risks, pushed boundaries, and discovered that many of our assumptions about the universe were wrong." He activated another display, showing the evolution of human technology over the past centuries. "We compressed 1,000 years of development into 300 because we had to. Every breakthrough, every innovation, was driven by the knowledge that something was coming for us." The tour continued through sections that showcase humanity's mastery of gravity manipulation, temporal mechanics, and energy conversion. Each revelation seemed to further overwhelm the alien visitors. "The Council believes itself to be the guardian of younger races," Ambassador Zextal finally said, their voice heavy with realization. But we've been children playing with toys, haven't we? Michael's response was diplomatic but firm. You've achieved great things, Ambassador. But the threats facing our galaxy don't care about political status or technological traditions. That's why we're revealing ourselves now, because surviving what's coming requires us all to grow beyond our limitations. He glanced at his neural readout, noting the approaching time for the combat demonstrations. Now, if you'll follow me, I believe Colonel Martinez is ready to show you how we've applied these technologies to our defense forces. Fair warning. What you're about to see might challenge your ideas about the possible even more than our engineering. Colonel Jessica Martinez stood in the Prometheus's combat simulation chamber, her Mark VI battlesuit humming with barely contained power. The watching auxiliary delegation shifted nervously as the quantum field generator spun up, creating a perfect replica of a planetary battlefield. What you're about to witness, she announced, her voice calm and professional, is a standard combat demonstration of Terran military capabilities. The environments and threats are based on actual encounters with Void Swarm forces. Ambassador Zextal and their scientific team watched from behind quantum-reinforced observation shields. Their earlier confidence had been replaced by a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Begin simulation alpha," Jessica commanded. The chamber transformed instantly, recreating the surface of a devastated world. Dark energy tentacles writhed through the artificial sky, while reality warping anomalies twisted the landscape. Jessica moved. Her battlesuit's neural interface allowed her to react at speeds that made her appear to teleport. She crossed 50 meters in the blink of an eye, quantum-enhanced weapon systems engaging multiple targets simultaneously. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Yexmore, their crystalline features reflecting the strobing weapons fire. "The G-forces alone should have." Inertial dampeners and quantum field manipulation interrupted Lieutenant Ryan Cooper, who stood beside the delegation. The suit creates a localized bubble of altered spacetime. To the soldier inside, they're moving at normal speed. To everyone else, he gestured as Jessica phased through what appeared to be solid matter to engage another target. The simulation escalated. Void swarm entities materialized, perfect recreations based on actual combat data. The aliens gasped as creatures that defied conventional physics launched an attack, only to be met by weapons that seemed to bend reality itself. "The quantum lance you see her wielding," Ryan explained, "can disrupt the extra-dimensional aspects of the swarm. It forces them fully into our reality, making them vulnerable to conventional weapons." Jessica demonstrated this by forcing a particularly large entity into normal space before executing a series of combat maneuvers that shouldn't have been physically possible. Her neural-linked weapon systems fired with perfect precision, each shot striking exactly where the swarm entities were most vulnerable. "Your soldiers," Ambassador Zextal observed, their voice trembling slightly. "They're more than just warriors. They're living weapons." "We're survivors," Jessica corrected, her voice carrying across the chamber as she deactivated her weapons. "Everything you see here was developed because we had to find ways to fight enemies that break the laws of physics." She walked toward the observation area, her battlesuit automatically adjusting its power output to appear less threatening. The surface of the armor rippled with quantum energy patterns, adaptive camouflage systems responding to the changing light. "This isn't even our most advanced equipment," she continued. "The Mark VII suits are still classified, and our experimental programs." She shook her head. "Let's just say we're still pushing the boundaries of what's possible." With a gesture, she activated another simulation. This time, it showed a full Terran combat squad in action. 20 soldiers moved as one, their neural networks linked in perfect synchronization. They flowed across the battlefield like liquid mercury, their movements choreographed with inhuman precision. "Combined neural networking," Ryan explained to the stunned aliens. "It allows our troops to share sensory data and coordinate tactics at the speed of thought. No radio communications to intercept, no delays in execution." The demonstration concluded with a display of defensive capabilities. Jessica stood motionless as simulated void swarm weapons, exact replicas of attacks that had destroyed entire worlds, splashed harmlessly against her suit's shields. The Galactic Council's combat doctrine is based on fighting conventional enemies, Jessica said, powering down her suit. But the Void Swarm isn't conventional. They don't follow the rules of our universe, so we had to learn to break those rules ourselves. She faced the ambassador directly. What you've seen here isn't about showing off our superiority. It's about demonstrating that survival is possible. With our guidance, your forces can be adapted to face this threat. Not to our level. That would take centuries. But enough to make a difference. Ambassador Zextal's response was barely audible. And if we refuse your help, then we'll protect you anyway, Jessica answered simply. Because that's what we've been doing for the past 30 years, and humanity doesn't abandon its self-appointed duties easily. Captain Ryan Anderson's neural implants screamed warnings seconds before the Prometheus's quantum sensors detected the spatial tier. He was already moving toward his Thunderhawk fighter when Commander Reynolds's voice echoed through the neural network. Void Swarm Scout Force detected. All fighter squadrons, launch immediately. This is not a drill. The massive hangar bay erupted into controlled chaos as pilots rushed to their crafts. Through the quantum link, Ryan felt his squadron's anticipation and determination flowing like an electric current. "Phoenix Squadron, form up on me," he commanded, his consciousness merging with his fighter systems as he launched into space. The sleek Thunderhawk responded to his thoughts faster than any physical control could allow, its quantum drive humming with barely contained power. The Axillary Observation Team watched from the Prometheus's command deck as 12 human fighters moved with impossible precision. Their crystalline features reflected the horror of what emerged from the spatial tier, writhing masses of dark energy tentacles attached to bodies that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. "By the Stellar Council," Ambassador Zextal whispered, "those are just their scouts." Commander Reynolds stood calmly at his command station. "Phoenix Squadron, you are weapons-free. Show our guests how humanity deals with uninvited visitors." Ryan's consciousness expanded as he linked with his squadron mates. Their 12 minds became one, sharing sensory data and combat calculations at the speed of thought. The Thunderhawks moved like a single organism, weaving through space in patterns that would have killed unaugmented pilots. Multiple quantum signatures, his second-in-command, Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, reported through the neural link. "They're trying to flank the Axillary ships." "Not happening," Ryan responded, his thoughts triggering his fighter's weapon systems. "Phoenix Squadron, execute Pattern Delta 7. The human fighters split into 3 groups, their quantum drives bending space-time around them. To the watching aliens, it appeared as if the Thunderhawks were in multiple places simultaneously. "Impossible," one of the Axillary scientists muttered. "Their maneuvers violate every law of physics we know." "That's the point," Commander Reynolds replied. "The Void Swarm doesn't follow your physics either." The battle unfolded like a deadly dance. Ryan's squadron struck from angles that shouldn't have existed, their quantum-enhanced weapons tearing through the swarm's extra-dimensional defenses. Each fighter moved with perfect coordination, covering their squad mates while executing maneuvers that would have reduced normal pilots to paste. "They're adapting," Sarah warned as the swarm entities began shifting their attack patterns. Detecting increased dark energy emissions, Ryan's neural link processed the tactical data instantly. "Switch to phase cannons. Target their dimensional anchor points." The Thunderhawk's weapons reconfigured on the fly, switching from conventional energy weapons to beams that seemed to cut through reality itself. Where they struck, the Void Swarm entities were forced fully into normal space, their extra-dimensional advantages temporarily neutralized. "Now this," Ryan thought to his squadron, "is where we show them why humanity spent 3 centuries preparing." Phoenix Squadron struck as one, their attacks perfectly synchronized through the neural network. Quantum torpedoes phased through the swarm's defenses, detonating in spaces between dimensions. Phase cannons forced the entities into normal space, while gravity lances tore them apart at the subatomic level. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. When it ended, the spatial tear had been sealed, and the Void Swarm scouts were nothing but dissipating energy signatures. "Return to base, Phoenix Squadron," Commander Reynolds ordered. "Excellent work." As Ryan guided his Thunderhawk back to the Prometheus, he glanced at the auxiliary ships through his neural interface. Their crews were broadcasting a mixture of terror and awe on all frequencies. "What you just witnessed," Reynolds addressed the alien delegation, "was a minor skirmish, a single squadron against a scout force. When the main swarm arrives, we'll be facing millions of entities like these, each one capable of consuming an entire planet." Ambassador Zextel's voice trembled. "And you believe we can fight such things?" "With our help?" Reynolds smiled grimly. "You won't just fight them. You'll help us end their threat to this galaxy once and for all. That's why we're here, Ambassador. Not to show off, but to prepare you for the war that's coming." Ryan landed his fighter, his neural link still buzzing with combat data. Through it, he could feel the shift in the auxiliary's emotional state, from skepticism to the beginning of understanding. Sometimes, he reflected, the best diplomacy came through demonstration of force. Admiral James Harrison stood before the hastily assembled Galactic Council emergency session, his dress uniform adorned with medals from battles the aliens had never known were fought. The council chamber, typically a place of measured debate and careful diplomacy, hummed with nervous energy. "Distinguished representatives," he began, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of human preparation. "You've all received the preliminary reports from Ambassador Zextel about humanity's capabilities and the threat we face. Now you must decide how we proceed." The massive quantum display behind him showed real-time footage from the Prometheus's encounter with the Void Swarm scouts. Council members from 100 species watched in stunned silence as human fighters executed maneuvers that defied their understanding of physics. "For 3 centuries," Harrison continued, "humanity chose isolation. Not out of fear, not out of arrogance, but because we needed time. Time to develop technologies that could combat threats your scientists haven't even theorized. Time to build defenses that could protect not just Earth, but every sentient species in our galaxy." He gestured, and the display shifted to show the true extent of human civilization. Vast networks of cloaked colonies, automated defense platforms, and quantum-linked manufacturing facilities that spanned the galaxy. "The Void Swarm isn't just another external threat," Harrison explained, his neural implants helping him read the room's emotional state. "They're a fundamental challenge to life itself. They don't seek conquest or resources. They seek to consume reality, to break down the very fabric of our universe for their own sustenance." Supreme Counselor Vex Mora, their crystalline form dimmed with concern, spoke up. "You speak of protecting us, Admiral, yet you've hidden among us for centuries. How can we trust a species that has deceived us for so long?" Harrison's response was measured but firm. "Trust us. Counselor, we've been protecting your world since before you knew we existed. That derelict swarm scout your ships found in the Centauri sector last year, it didn't mysteriously explode. It encountered one of our automated defense platforms." The display changed again, showing footage from dozens of similar encounters. Human ships and defense systems engaging Void Swarm entities across the galaxy, preventing them from reaching populated systems. "We didn't hide out of deception," Harrison continued. "We hid because we needed to develop at our own pace, free from well-meaning but limiting oversight. The results speak for themselves." He brought up technical specifications for the Prometheus and its support fleet. The council chamber erupted in murmurs as members realized the true scale of human military power. But now, isolation is no longer an option. The main swarm approaches, and even humanity cannot face it alone. We offer you a choice, not submission to human authority, but partnership in survival. Lieutenant Commander Rachel Chen stepped forward, carrying a quantum data core. This contains selected technological packages, advances your civilizations can safely implement within the next 6 months. Defensive systems, sensor upgrades, neural interface protocols, everything you need to begin preparing your forces for what's coming. "And what do you want in return?" asked another council member. Harrison's expression softened slightly. "Your cooperation, your resources, your trust, not blind faith. We expect you to verify everything we've shown you. But understand this, whether you choose to work with us or not, humanity will stand against the swarm. We've prepared too long and sacrificed too much to do otherwise." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't asking for permission to protect the galaxy. They were offering the Council a chance to protect itself. "The choice before you isn't whether to accept human dominance," Harrison concluded. "It's whether to embrace evolution. We can help you advance centuries within months, but only if you're willing to move beyond comfortable traditions and accept that the universe is far more dangerous and wonderful than you imagined." He straightened, his bearing every inch, the commander of humanity's combined fleet. "The Void Swarm comes, representatives of the Galactic Council. Humanity stands ready to guide you, to protect you, to fight alongside you. The only question is, will you stand with us?" The council chamber erupted in discussion, but Harrison already knew their answer. In the face of extinction, old prejudices and political maneuvering meant nothing. The age of humanity's isolation was over. The age of guardianship had begun.